The Bucks lost their MVP in the second quarter to an ankle sprain last night, but that didn't stop them from forcing a Game 5. A controversial call, though, late in Game 4 involved Jimmy Butler, who seemed to get fouled here by Eric Bledsoe with 1:44 left in regulation and the Heat trailing by 2 points. Coach Spo didn't challenge the play, and the officials couldn't enforce a post-replay foul call. It was obvious there, though, that he was fouled, because that's not an option in the current NBA rule book. Here's what Jimmy said after the game about that particular call.
No. I just got to be stronger with the ball, hold on to the ball. That's fine. On to the next play, and I think we did a great job of that. We just didn't win the game. There was way too many things that we did wrong that we just can't let happen. It never comes down to that play or any other play. I'm cool. We didn't deserve to win that game. We didn't play our type of basketball. And that play is just another play out of so many, They call that foul, whatever. Something else bad probably would happen the way that we were playing tonight. So we'll just be better and not have to rely on one call to change the game.
The NBA's last 2-minute report acknowledged today that it was indeed a foul by Bledsoe. Matt, we heard Jimmy say all the right things there, but 2 questions here for you. How costly was that particular call? And second, how bad is that rule?
Yeah, I remember as a player, I hated seeing the 2-minute report the next day because you knew they blew the call, and then sometimes they admit it, sometimes they don't admit it, but they admitted it here. Obviously, it was a foul call, but to me, what's the point? We were talking about this before this. What's the point of going to replay if you can't? That was clearly a foul. And like you said, Jimmy said the right things. It's in the rule books. There's no point in arguing or complaining about it, but we don't play anymore. So we can complain. What's the point of going back to replay to see who went out on if there's a foul or not if you can't actually change the circumstances without having to challenge the call? So I think that's something they need to address.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the whole thing with replay is going back to get the call right.
Period.
Period. Yeah, the ball went out of bounds, but it was clearly a foul. Jimmy Butler said he had to be strong with the ball, but I'm like, how much stronger you can be with the ball when somebody grabs your whole arm and the ball goes out? That's clearly a foul. So, something has to be done about this replay situation to where let's just make sure we get the call right.
Period.
Yeah, I guess the rule states if there's no actual foul call on that, they can't go back and change that. Had there been a foul call, like let's say it would have been, any other call really in that situation, they could have gone back and overturned it. But the refs, to your guys' point, should have that latitude in that situation.
And if you're going to take the time, because like I said, I like that they're going to replay and try to get these plays right, but obviously they stop the flow and momentum of the game. So if you're going to stop the whole flow and momentum of the game, at least come back with the right verdict. Okay, they missed the call. It's hard to make every single call. They missed the call, but at least give them the ability to say, okay, hey, I missed the call. The ball is out on Jimmy, but he actually got fouled first. Let's give him his 2 free throws. If you're going to go replay it and waste our time overall, make sure we get the call right.
Yeah, that should be the goal for sure. Hey, Chris Middleton dropped a playoff career-high 36 points in the Bucks win last night after Giannis went down. Obviously, he just took over, basically. He was the centerpiece of the Bucks offense. And looking at the numbers in this series, the Bucks have been surprisingly good when Giannis is off the floor against the Heat. In 119 minutes with Giannis off the court, the Bucks have been outscored by 32 points. In comparison, when the Bucks have Giannis, when Giannis isn't on the floor, they have outscored the Heat by 7 points in 78 minutes. So, Paul, how do you explain these numbers that the Heat are just better when Giannis is actually on the floor, the MVP of the league?
Well, you got to understand the scouting report for the Heat is designed to stop Giannis. And initially what they do, they give the Giannis the ball and they say, here, big fella, you need to go dominate, get to the basket, make plays for other people. When he's not in the game, they move the ball more. There's more ball movement. There's more body movement. There's more cutting. And so if you tell me, this is similar to how we beat LeBron James in early 2000s. They were like, hey, we scouted, we built the wall around LeBron, and we knew that that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to penetrate and find the open shooters. Same here with Giannis. But when the scouting report is not to have Giannis in the lineup, it's like, how do you defend them? Because they're moving the ball, guys are cutting, and they're getting open shots. So it's a big difference.
I think numbers can be deceiving sometimes. To think that the Bucks are better without Giannis, I don't think anyone's saying that. But like Paul said, the whole goal is to wall Giannis up, and Giannis hasn't been able to figure that out yet. And something I pointed out the other day is it always seems like the deeper the Bucks get into the playoffs, and it's crazy to say this about last year's MVP and possibly this year's MVP, I think the holes in his offensive games are exposed a little bit more. You know what I mean? It's either all the way to the basket or they're going to live with him making a couple threes in the game. So, like I said, we talked about Russ and the next step, and obviously the next step in Giannis is developing that mid-range and that mid-block game that Anthony Davis can use, because you're able, when it comes to the playoffs, when you have 7 games to try to figure someone out, you're going to be able to build and block him off, and you literally take him out of the game somewhat.
So let's say Giannis doesn't play in Game 5. Paul, you alluded to the fact they moved the ball. They looked completely different on offense. Miami also got a little stagnant. It looked like they took the foot off the gas a little bit in that game. What does Miami need to do if Giannis doesn't play defensively?
Well, if Miami, what they need to do is like, look, this series has to be over. They don't have Giannis. They can't play down to the level, because the tendency sometimes with player, when your best player doesn't play, is like it's going to be a cakewalk. Well, them other guys on the other end are like, our best player's not playing. We need to play hard as possible to try to get a win. So Miami need to come out with the attitude they had in Game 1, Game 2, and say we need to put this series away in dominant fashion, which they can do.
And another thing, Paul's always been the best player, so when Paul was out, people like me and other guys like, okay, well now we know we're going to get more shots. We know we're going to be able to do some things. So that's what these guys are kind of looking for anyway. Obviously, they love having Giannis out there, but they know when their top dog goes down that's going to give everyone maybe 2 or 3 more shots, 4 shots more for Middleton, more for Bledsoe, and then more for the role players. So, I mean, obviously it keeps everyone you have to hold everyone accountable, but like Paul said, Miami has to come out with the mentality they have to close this out, whether Giannis is playing or not, and get rested up for the Eastern Conference Finals.
To that point, Jimmy Butler said in the postgame as well that they got comfortable. And that's the thing that they can't do in any series, let alone this particular series against a team like that.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.